Welcome to This Week in X. We are here to discuss X-Force number 16, out on the 20th of January, 2021. And I'm here with my co-hosts, colleagues, and mutant-loving friends from around the globe, Harry and Tyler, to discuss this issue. Before we dig in, just a reminder, this is a full spoilers episode. So we're going to talk about everything in this issue. We could be talking about the other X-Men issues out this week. I could just whine and cry about how terrible Spider-Man has been the past few months. Really, any Marvel comic spoiler is fair game, and you've been warned, even Spider-Man. X-Force 16, let's just start with our lightning round go-around. What is your initial from-the-gut reaction to this book, Tyler?
Well, I mean, no surprise here. I love the art in this book. And I mean, this issue, Cassara continues to deliver. And most of the characters, are on point. Sorry, I just switched to like the writing. Most of the characters, characterizations are on point, except for one short furry one. I think that was so bad.
So bad.
And that is the main complaints from me, which is kind of disappointing because this used to be my favorite title.
Harry.
Yeah, so I thought this was something of a rebound. I don't know if last issue was just particularly weak or this is kind of quietly solid, but there's a focus to this issue. There's a lot of momentum. The arts is just ridiculous. I think like 3 times I just yelled like, geez, like in my apartment to no one in particular, because I was just so into how it looked. But like Tyler said, I think I've fully become converted onto Tyler's side here. There is one particular bit of characterization where just every time we get to it, every time there's a line, it just completely takes me out of the book. And then I try to get back into it, and then it takes me out again. And it's just the cycle of like Lucy pulling the football away from me, like where I'm trying to love this book. I want to love it, and then there's some nonsense, but I'm sure we'll get into it.
Well, I won't repeat that point at length, but I completely agree. I think this book really was kind of working for me from a writerly standpoint until those moments. So I think we have quorum on that one, more than quorum. Yeah. Everybody in consensus. And I think the art has been amazing. I guess I have the same question I had last week or last time we talked about this, which is, what is X-Force? And now my question is less within the story, what is X-Force to Krakoa, and more for Benjamin Percy and the X editorial team. What are you doing here? Like, what is this? Because this does not feel like an X-Force comic to me. Not like if X-Force has to be a certain thing, but it doesn't even feel like it's a piece with the rest of the comic that's come before here at all. Mm-hmm. So I kind of enjoyed it. It was beautiful, but I just really don't understand why this is being published right now. Maybe we can figure it out and get to the bottom of that story. But yeah, this went from being one of my top books to scraping the bottom of the barrel. So we have pretty much three and a half distinct scenes here, which we can kind of handle each of them and talk about them as they come. Mm-hmm. So the first scene is actually split into a couple parts, is Beast and Cecilia Rise in the Healing Gardens. Clearly, the conflict that ended the last issue of the big invasion of the beach has mostly been over. We see Domino and Black Tom batting a little bit of cleanup, but Beast and Cecilia Rise already have a body to dissect, and they're starting to speculate on what exactly is wrong with this body, what caused it to storm the beach. And Rise has some very pointed commentary for Beast, which is not dissimilar from the kind of commentary we make here on this program.
Yeah, definitely.
Tyler, what do you think of all that?
I mean, before we get into it, like, how cool is that wide shot of, the Healing Garden? Because we have always seen the Healing Garden more of a mid to close up shot, but this like overview of it with like lily pad stuff like going up into the sky, it looks almost as if the whole thing is underwater.
Yeah.
So I mean, I thought that was like really awesome. I think it's stunning.
It's such a good opening where you just have this otherworldly kind of beautiful, colorful thing where just like, oh my gosh, like this is some of the best art in superhero comics right now. You just get locked in. But I like that it was Beast getting called out on his crap, because it feels like now Percy kind of it's everyone's kind of more on the same page that he's just Beast is not doing the right thing, and everyone's kind of sick of his crap again. So like it felt good that like I was in sync with where the writer was going with it. That was cool.
Everyone is onto him, right? Jean was onto him, and because Jean is onto him, Wolverine is onto him, And then you have Sage, he's onto him too, because he was being really, really obnoxious and condescending to her. He's like, oh, I have this thing, take care of your concussion, do your work. And then now Cecilia Rice is like, don't you start thinking about this. Let's figure out what this is first.
She just sees them. She's like, stop it now before we go somewhere with this.
Yeah, it's like, no, don't you dare. And I thought it was pretty funny because, like Peter said, I think many episodes ago, is like, Beast is this high intelligence, low wisdom character, which is exactly what he is right here. So.
Well, and I think our reaction to it is that we want to laugh with it. I think it's crossed to a point where it's not satisfying to see Beast just be having these plots kind of bubbling under and nobody calling him on it. That's when readers get frustrated. I don't think readers necessarily even get that frustrated to see a character repeating past behavior. It's when other characters treat it like it's brand new that I think that those of us who've been with the title for a while start to lose that suspension of disbelief. So we're not saying don't let Beast be Beast. We're saying let Beast be Beast and have other people react to it, so we don't have to read the same story of people reacting to it later. And I think that to me is, thinking about my psychology of a reader is why the scene is so satisfying to me, because she calls him on it in exactly the way we would. And she also says, like, not in so many words, you're being short-sighted by wondering about the applications of this discovery, that you're not even resolving the root cause of the risk to us right now. And it ends with her saying, get X-Force out there, stat. Like we said last episode, what is X-Force if not Beast, right? Like Beast is X-Force, really. And so she's like, you don't have time to play these games. You have a responsibility. And he is like, begrudgingly. And I think that's why it works so well. It's not us complaining about it. That's for sure.
It's fun.
But so I'm a little bit curious as to what this is, because obviously this is being framed as Krakoa basically expelling his own tumor out into the sea, something that Krakoa is doing, except Krakoa doesn't know he's doing it, because all questions to Krakoa is that I don't have it, I never had it, so this is a strange thing. Well, kind of strange, but not super strange, because I think all the way back in House of X issue 1, there is this no place flower, right? And it's non-natural, non-naturally occurring, and it is where Moira is residing right now. And the very last sentence of that data page for this no place is that it is a Krakoan tumor. So I'm not sure if it is related to that.
I wonder if that'll be the case. Part of me thinks that this really is this kind of threat. This tumor is really just kind of the it's just a thematic mirroring to like just the moral rot of Beast and the team. It really is just a manifestation of Krakoa that's become rotten and dangerous and what have you. And if that's where this book is going, just kind of making a statement about how what the team's been up to, that's interesting. But like, I don't know if there's like a lot of connections to the larger story ecosystem they've been developing.
Well, I think it's interesting because we have different people referring to it in very different ways, right? I think it's Rise who says, or maybe it's Beast who says it's parasitic. On the Beast, Domino says it's an infection. We've seen it referred to as a cancer, which obviously ties into that no place stuff and would be a chance for it to finally come up in the broader story, because it really hasn't. And X-Force in a way has been a lot about the ramification of the various flowers. So would it kind of make sense in this way that I'm saying, does this even make sense if that's where the plot was going? Yeah, I think I would kind of be like, oh, that's why we're investigating this, because it's part of X-Force kind of exploring what grows on Krakoa. But I actually kind of like the ambiguity of what it is. Nobody knows for sure. And especially once we go to find it underwater, it's not like it's any one identifiable thing. It's not like, oh, Krakoa just hocked a loogie into the water, that's it. Because there's clearly some other mysterious things going on with that as well.
No, yeah, definitely. And I mean, the other thing to sort of like recognize is that Moira's no place is inert. It's not attacking anything, whereas this particular one is actually taking over some other biological entities and then using them to attack or to protect itself somehow. So
Well, it brings up a good point. With Mora's no place, the whole point is like it's a no place. It's not anywhere accessible other than with a gate that takes you into it. But if that itself is cancerous, like it's somewhere, like even if it's in limbo or whatever, there's nowhere. And it kind of like raises the question of where is this somewhere, even if it's in this kind of negative zone bag of holding, this space is not real. She's somewhere, and what does that mean for wherever that is? Is Krakoa slowly poisoning whatever place where Mora is located right now, and does this somehow connect to that? So I think that's all really interesting, and potentially it's time for some of these plots to begin to blossom.
Yeah, I mean, we have seen Krakoa being aggressive before, because remember that scene in New Mutants in Space where they planted a gate in Starjammer's garden, and it sort of disrupted all the plants in the garden because Krakoa, the flower, was being super aggressive and trying to take over the entire space. So, I mean, there is some sort of like continuity in terms of that theme here, I think.
That is interesting that, this island, for all of its beauty and splendor and idea of sanctuary, does have this kind of aggression and possible kind of toxicity inside it, which, I think that ambiguity of, is there something sinister, something going on in Krakoa? I would like to see that play out maybe soon. That would be great.
Well, speaking of toxicity on Krakoa, let's get to some male toxicity on Krakoa, which is our bridge to this next scene of Forge and Wolverine just being assholes. So I just
dorks.
I have so many problems with this, but let's actually start with the plot problem, then just ease our way down the road to the other ones, which is Quire is alive. I was sure that right before X of Swords, he had been ripped in half or dead, or he was with the Russians, and then we got all bent out of shape when he was in X of Swords, but here he is. Am I just confused? Tyler, you usually bring the receipts. What is going on here?
I think it's meant to be a surprise, so we don't know what happened. And my question is really this, right? Firstly, how does Phoebe know he died? Because from the conversation, it's like, I want you to remember this kiss, suggests that Phoebe knew he died and got resurrected without the memory of them, kissing and doing the thing in the bushes before. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is that, like, did the Force protocol override even X Factor's mandates to ensure that they resurrect only when the death can be verified physically? Because it is clear that the body is with the Russians, with Colossus' brother. So I don't know. I mean, it's not very clear, but given, just looking a bit ahead, given that next issue, I think is a Quentin Quire centric issue, we might get our answer then. But I thought that was like really interesting, and the fact that no one actually talk about it, like, they just assume that, oh, hey, this kid is alive again, maybe because he died so many times before.
They're just so used to it, they don't like bat an eye anymore. Like, oh, Quentin's back. I don't know. I mean, it's disorienting. It's like a running theme in these Percy books, is that, like, I can't tell if this is an intentional choice or this is a story mistake or XYZ, and I'm not sure where to put it. So I just guess we have to wait and see. But that's really not satisfying, Yeah,
and it's I think there's a line for fans between everything must be explained, which some fans think everything is to be explained constantly, and then the line between just make sure that the book acknowledges where we're coming from. And I'm not somebody who needs everything explained right away. I grew up with Claremont, and I do think that some fans today like can't deal with a cliffhanger. Like I definitely think there's people here that if there's a cliffhanger about somebody's status and the next issue picks up without that resolved, they just like lose their minds. Like that would have been us in X of Swords being like, you can't even do X of Swords right now because Quentin just died. Like that, and that's real. That's the way that you feel, and I can't fault you for feeling that way. But like comics, the way comics used to work was that you had some time to develop some of these plots before everything was written for trade. I think this is distinct though, because we're like, you're not even having anybody on the page fully tell us that they're sure that he died, except for that kind of like little wink about remember the kiss this time. So we're just confused. And I think there's a difference between not being able to have a cliffhanger because the anticipation is killing you and just being confused. And I would agree that Percy now has had some of the most issues of all of the writers on this line, and he seems to lean pretty hard into confusion, which to me represents writing problems and editorial problems with getting these books together and printed.
Yeah, this doesn't feel like intentional ambiguity or kind of like an understated approach to telling a story. It just feels like I don't know what's happening, like beat to beat to beat, and like I feel I'm not sure if the writer is aware and is trying to say things in the moment, or maybe I'm just incredibly illiterate, but hopefully
I don't know, man. When all three of us kind of come away noticing the same things, I mean, we could all be illiterate. We could all be wrong. That's certainly, Free isn't here to get us in line. It's entirely possible that all three of us are wrong. But we are all three coming to a similar decision, which brings us to the other thing. This Wolverine is just wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah.
Every line that he says, like the whole calling Forge a desk jockey, and like it just doesn't read to me at all. I think the thing is that there's been like a little bit of hokey nudge competitive commentary between these team members in the earlier missions when it was a little bit more madcap, especially like in the first arc. I think there was a lot of really funny moments, like when Wolverine gets torn in half and Forge is carrying around half of him, and like it was funny and it was brutal and funny, and it feels like Percy is like trying to continue that vibe, but it's like the jokes are just not there. And it's not mean funny, it's just mean, and so it's just stopped feeling like any of these characters. It doesn't feel like Forge or Wolverine, and I just felt like Quentin was the only real character in this scene. It was a really strange moment, even when they get under the water and Quentin is like dealing with it, and then Wolverine are like, the men are here. I'm like, that's not a thing weird that Wolverine says.
It's not. I mean, especially not when there is a relationship between Wolverine and Forge and Wolverine and Quentin Quill. Right? So they have an established relationship. And come on, Forge went to space with Wolverine to rescue Xavier. Like, remember that?
They just have a lot of history, especially Wolverine and Quire, when Quire was kind of like reimagined in Wolverine and the X-Men. It just doesn't it just doesn't feel right. Like I feel sometimes I read it. I'm sorry, Harry, go ahead. I'm
no, just sorry. The entire ending of Wolverine and the X-Men, the final issue, a lot of that is based around Wolverine and Quentin Quire, like not establishing some kind of respect, but reaching a more warm kind of point with the two of them for what they are. And in this, Wolverine's just kind of a dick. Sorry to swear, but like it just doesn't read right at all. It feels like I think when this book's at its best, it is madcap and it's fun and it's
I like it when it's
Wolverine.
Just things are happening so fast, people are getting blown up so fast, the problems are cascading out so fast that they can't help but kind of be glib with each other. That to me is what I'm saying. What is X-Force? I thought that's what X-Force was now.
Yeah,
it's like you've got Forge like, hey, check out this awesome invention. This is going to be fun, undersea adventure. And then Wolverine shows up and it just sounds like a parody of Wolverine. Like it sounds like a kind of hollow, dark, edgy kind of thing that like, it feels like that Wolverine book, like just butting its head into this book and just trying to mess with the tone. It doesn't work.
Even the make it quick lover boy, like no, Wolverine would not say that.
No, that's the thing. But I mean, they wouldn't say that. But if we just rely on the art, the page with Forge and Logan smiling at Quill, and he says, "What?" That would have been perfect.
If Wolverine hadn't been such a dick in the previous panel, so that I could appreciate it.
That would have been perfect. And then, but I did laugh at the line where Wolverine was like, "Oh, I'm too damn heavy. That's why I'm sinking faster."
That's a great page. And just like visually, it's so fun watching them slowly sink with like the long panels here. That's a fun page. Like the art's incredible and there's some good beats. It's not like this is all bad. It's just the vibe feels wrong when you just keep having these odd characterizations. And
because the voice is wrong, right? The voice of these established characters and their relationships is really off. Like, it's rubbing us the wrong way. It's not the story. I mean, I kind of enjoy the story. It's not the art. It's it's not even the pacing issue. It's just the voice that is wrong.
Yeah, and it's the thing that occurs to me is you could take any one of these things in isolation and we can just apply the hypertime approach, right? So hypertime is DC's way of saying things are only in continuity when it's convenient for them to be in continuity. So to Harry's specific objection about Wolverine and Quire, you could just say, well, Percy has decided that he's not really going to follow up on the fact that they're buds now. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, right? But it's because every one of these lines and every one of these interactions is feeling off, that it's not. I'm really generous in my ability to explain with hypertime. I don't like to be the one who says, but in X-Men, Uncanny X-Men 275, Wolverine and Forge said, I'm with you, brother, so they can never fight again. Like, that's not me. No. But I think when there's just a whole sequence of word balloons, I get this feeling sometimes in issues like this where I almost like put my thumb over the screen and I like re-script each balloon as I go. And I was like, the art makes sense. The overall plot makes sense. It's just these words need to be a little bit different. That's, it's like a polish pass, correct. And that's what this needed. It needed a polish pass from anybody who understood Wolverine, because I'm starting to think Percy does not.
Yeah, and did you choose Uncanny X-Men 275 on purpose to make
the illustration? Yes,
because of you. I feel like I'm more generous with like writers kind of taking their own voices to characters and what have you. I like it when they can kind of stretch the legs a bit, but like this Wolverine is he just really likes killing stuff, and he talks about it in super hokey, like stilted ways. And like, not to get to the end, but like the way he looks at this otherworldly incredible being, and it's just like, I want to kill it. It just doesn't like what are we doing here? Like I don't understand it.
He doesn't. He goes hunting but does not kill the deer.
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't feel like he's like a happy-go-lucky kill guy, and he just sees this like ancient creature.
Weird,
and now I ain't gonna be able to sleep right until I kill it dead. And I'm like, what's going on, buddy? Do you need help? Do we need to call somebody?
But then, so speaking on the positive side, first of all, the art, I agree with you both. The art, basically from when they get to this underwater thing straight through the end, every panel's amazing. I love when the cuckoo walks up and she's like got her hands folded and she's making a request to Forge, and then the descent to the depths. I mean, there's so many great panels here. Kasara turns in nothing but great pages. The coloring is amazing. The pink glow on everybody under the sea as Quentin's power lights up.
That's so good.
All amazing.
This is better than last issue, the art, to be clear. I think he's really stepped it up with this issue compared to last.
Well, I think last issue, the script let him down a little, and he was tight. He had just come off of X of Swords, and there were still good pages. It just didn't feel like as consistent as this one, which feels really consistent.
He does all these like ugly creatures very well. You know what I mean? This suits him so much. And that splash page of like Wolverine and the eye, and the light coming.
Beautiful.
That one was so fun and so cool. And I don't know. I mean, this sounds, sometimes the whole plot about them in the liquid going down deep sea sounds a lot like Abyss.
It's very Abyss.
Yeah.
It is very Abyss, right?
It's a good movie.
So,
I mean,
well, before we get to the last development here, I just want to highlight a specific piece of character work that I think was great, which is when Quentin's descending and he gives that monologue, which one of you has mentioned a little bit already. There's something about Krakoa that's always bothered me. We trust it to do what it's supposed to do, just like we trust our hearts to beat and our lungs to breathe. A great nod to Forge made it so their lungs will just breathe, right? Which is also Krakoan technology. But everybody's got something rotten inside them. And it's like, of all the characters to give that monologue, I love that it's Quentin. Quentin who used to be terrible. Quentin who, had the Phoenix Force and gave it up to save somebody. Quentin knows from having a rotten piece of you inside that you can't reconcile. That's almost his whole power. He's not a bad boy because he's cool. He's not a bad boy because he's evil. He's a bad boy because he's got this little piece of hatred inside of him that sometimes he doesn't know how to express or ask for help about. And it just felt like the right character to give that. So I'm not saying that Percy's like incapable of writing good comics. We had that great Beast thing at the beginning, and I think this Quentin material is fantastic. But he just somebody's got to shake some sense into him when it comes to Wolverine.
Don't let him write Wolverine anymore.
Get him off the team.
As someone who really wants to write Wolverine, I don't know, like Larry Hammer back. right, Wolverine or
Yeah.
something, you know.
There's so much fun madcap stuff in this book. The kind of like nation play and the factional like CA fighting and all that like subterfuge. That's really fun. It's just like this, but like when it gets to like we're the hardcore team that kills people, and he uses Wolverine to be that person on that team to like vocalize those things. It just comes off so shallow and lesser compared to everything else in this book.
Yeah.
Well,
To be fair, it's Forge who said the men are here, now that I'm down to that page, but it's still, they're both complicit in that little bit of masculinity. Yeah.
I mean, Namor's appearance was kind of fun.
Yes, it was.
Yes,
let's talk about the final portion of this. Namor looking as sexy as he's supposed to look. And he's just comes in here and he's like, y'all are playing the wrong song right now. This is not how this is supposed to go. You're in my domain. And it really is an infection. And you've already infected the surface world, and that's not going to go this way here. It's a wonderful continuation of the theme of Namor the few other times we've seen him, all the way stretching back to Hoxpox, where he's like, this is a really nice idea, Xavier, but I don't need to be involved.
Yeah.
And Percy writes him really well. He's like the right level of arrogant and kind of just, shitty. Like he's a bit more like informal, like not to keep swearing, but he says like, now piss off mutants, which is like kind of, but it works. It works for this character.
Did work. It didn't, even though I wouldn't normally see him say that. It almost feels like he was taking on like an affectation. He was like being a sailor, like piss off, and that worked. I stopped in that moment and I said, would Namor say that? And I was like, yeah, I actually think I can see Namor saying that.
It was good. It was a really cool beat with him. And it also looks incredible. Like the lightning trident, just like lighting up the ocean. Like it just is playing with the colors in that way. There's just so much creativity in this space. I can't get enough of this art.
And also, the art, there's this one moment when it goes really tight on his face and like the blackness of his eyes that reminds me of some of my very favorite artists right now, like Nick Robles and Bilquis Evely, just like people who do really good face acting that's not the normal comic book face, and that's, sorry, I mean, we go on and on every episode, but also the text in those two panels is really interesting because Namor brings up the idea of, is Xavier using Krakoa or is Krakoa using Xavier? And so would I use this thing in the ocean or would it use me? And that's a really great question because a lot of the genesis for a lot of this idea, if we think back to Powers of X, comes from like when Xavier brought Doug to Krakoa and he was misunderstanding Krakoa and Doug was like, that's nice, old man, but you don't speak the language. But like, do we trust Krakoa? Like after the whole X of Swords and everything and this cancerous thing, I think we've had a couple different characters bring up here, like, can we fully trust Krakoa? Do you think that's a thing?
I mean, in some ways, it's not so much that Krakoa is a parasite. The relationship, I think, is not parasitic in nature.
Well, it's symbiotic.
Symbiotic,
yeah. Not with a symbiote, mind you. No. Not talking about venom, just symbiotic.
Yeah, because both parties are, are benefiting from the relationship.
Yeah.
Right? Because Krakoa do need mutant energy to survive. And, he's drawing a little bit from all the mutants who are living on him right now to survive, to grow.
Yeah, it's his ideal situation, right? Yeah. Like he wants a bunch of mutants hanging out.
Yeah. And I think we have mentioned it like many, many times before, like all the mutants, have different agendas and have different reasons to want to be in Krakoa. The villains are there because that's what they want all the entire time. Sinister is there because, hey, all the mutants are here. I have everything to play with,
Yeah.
So I think it's not parasitic in nature, but but I think this issue is asking that question, is there something more to it? Is there something more that is, is there a dark side to this? And
yeah, I know eventually the books are going to have to answer that question as we get deeper into this whole, saga. But like, I like the ambiguity right now of not knowing entirely where this island and its kind of like nature lands. Like, it does seem like a great place. It does seem, paradise. And, it is, X-Men readers are used to things going badly, but like, I like that you're not quite sure yet. And I kind of want to stay there. I like that this book's asking questions and I like that, like, it's on the minds of some of the mutants, but like, I want to kind of stay in this, like this in-between zone for as long as we can.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that brings us to our outro round here. Is there anything else about this issue, writing, art, plot, characters, that we still need to bring to light before we shut this down?
I didn't expect to get so heated about this issue, but no, it's like, it's got so much annoying stuff and it's got so many brilliant moments and the art's incredible. And I feel like it's like the fundamentals are sometimes there, then sometimes I don't know what's going on. I don't feel like it's my fault. And it's such an odd book. I don't know.
I mean, the reason why I think we react so passionately to this is because we like it so much and we see how much how good it can be, in the past, and we get a little bit annoyed when these little bit of things that shouldn't happens. So yeah, I think that's the reason why that happens.
Yeah, I think if anything, a lot of the times right after I read X-Force, the past few issues, I'm really much more frustrated with it than when we talk together, which is why X-Men comics are better when they're read together. I think I was so focused on the couple of moments that just like really pulled at me here that I had kind of forgotten how well I think he did with Beast, with Quire, with Namor. There's a lot of good moments in this book. And I think personally, sometimes the super fan of me cannot let go one egregious mistake when there's a lot of good things that make up for it. So I might have come out of this issue being like, it was average. And I think I'm leaving this conversation saying, actually, it was really good, except for this one thing, which hopefully is going to cohere over time.
Yeah.
See, that's
so even though you went in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I was like, I read the book and I was like, this is pretty solid. Now we're talking and I'm like, and this sucked and I'm not into this. And how do you mess up Wolverine like this? I got to go like take a walk after this. We'll be good. I don't know,
Yeah. All right. But we still are tuned in for more, and we don't hate Percy. We just have this one thing that we wish Percy could somehow explain a little bit more. Thanks for joining this discussion about X-Force. If you're looking for the other issue this week, Cable, it's in another video. So you have to go look at that video to see what we thought about Cable. But we hope that you will look for that video. We hope you will subscribe. We hope you will stay tuned because we love talking about X-Men comic books together. We came away from this with a totally different vibe on this book than we entered with, and maybe you did too. So for myself, for Tyler and Harry, and our absent sister and mutant Freya, thank you so much. And please come back again to This Week in X.
Bye.